What's going on, boys and girls? It's me, Ben DPB, but I have a brand new episode of Ben Meets. And today I've got a very, very exciting guest. I've got none other than the stepfather of Harry Owen. It's Loki Doki. How are you, my friend? How are you?
Greetings and salutations! I've got to keep on brand, I have to say that. It's in the contract.
I like it. We'll dive straight into it. Where did that intro come from?
I think it's back from, because I'm so very old, and this will come up multiple times in this conversation, it came back from old chat room days, you know, before, like, you know, the paedophiles and stuff, when it was normal people hanging out and, you know, just chatting. When I went into a room, it would be just greetings and sound. I've no idea where that came from, but it's just sort of stuck, really. So
you openly admitted you stole that from someone else?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Fingers crossed they haven't copyrighted it and don't come back for you in a couple of years for that YouTube money, eh?
Yeah, exactly. They wait until I'm big enough. They're just biding their time.
I mean, you've been on YouTube now for 18 months. I've seen you started back in November 2015. So, I mean, why did you start YouTube, all in all? What got you into it?
I've been a sort of avid watcher of YouTube for about 3 or 4 years. I watched lots of sort of Let's Plays and enjoyed sort of various different podcasts and stuff. And then it was weird because I've played Football Manager for years, but I never realised it existed as a thing on YouTube. And I don't even remember who it was. It was just like literally stumbling across somebody's video of Football Manager, and I thought, oh, that's good. That looks really good fun. I play Football Manager lots. I think it was just literally, I thought, this might be fun, I'll give it a go. Why not, sort of thing.
Was there anybody at the start that sort of inspired you or gave you bits of advice in the very early stages?
I don't really like people. Yeah. So
this should be a good interview then.
yeah. Just go away. Let me speak. Just basically what happened is, like, you know, when I started then doing some research and looking into Football Manager, obviously the first big ones that come up were people like Work the Space, Second Yellow Cards, Benji, and all those sort of people, because they're the biggest sort of channels. Their videos popped up, and I never really spoke to anyone at all about it, not even sort of family or friends. I kind of just thought, I'm just going to do it because it might be rubbish, so I don't want to tell all my family and friends, come and check out my and then I'm just awful at it. By nature, when I decide to do something, I'm all in. I'm literally doing a massive amount of research and listening to podcasts and all that sort of stuff, but nobody in particular as a YouTuber that I reached out to. I kind of feel bad bothering people. It's weird.
I'm the complete opposite. As you found out.
I know. God, all those bloody private messages. Jesus.
I tend to be an average stalker of people, so I don't mind a bit of that. I mean, when I first started YouTube, I messaged a couple of people. There was a couple of guys that were very receptive. Just the Northman Paul, Just Mike Plays. I mean, they were very kind and gave me advice in the early days. But, you know, I was very nervous messaging people. I didn't want to waste people's time because I saw a lot of people who came on, did sort of like 2 or 3 episodes, and then dropped off YouTube, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
You know, so I waited till I'd done a few episodes before I started messaging people. But I was a little bit nervous about doing that because despite how it may come across online, I too am quite a shy person, honest.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, isn't it? Because you don't want to sort of bother. You're basically asking somebody for sort of free advice or something that you don't know. And it's a weird sort of relationship. But now I'm sort of, you know, doing okay. That I usually get about 2 or 3 videos sent to me a day now saying, people asking me to check out their stuff or give them some advice, and I love doing that. I really, really enjoy that. So if there's anyone out there that wants to, this probably open the floodgates.
But, you're going to regret saying this now.
Lots of people do, and that's why I'm doing this. We'll sort of get into it later, but like a YouTube series of how to YouTube that I'm sort of currently creating for my channel. So I can sort of point people to that. You know, somebody says, oh, how do you do your thumbnails? I go check out my thumbnail video, that sort of thing. So I'm doing a whole big series on it. So that should be helpful to sort of new people starting out.
You segued sort of very nicely into that. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about it, or was it very secretive for now?
No, I've told a few people basically what it's going to be. It's going to be a 13-part video series. And it's going to be a how-to YouTube. And I've seen sort of various guides. You know, I watched a lot of these things when I started out, and like from various different creators, how to do thumbnails well or how to do editing or whatever it is. For me, they didn't go into enough detail. So I decided to make it like a big series where we go into massive, minute detail. Like the first episode is all going to be out picking the right name, channel branding, marketing, that sort of stuff, getting the right sort of look for your channel and all that sort of thing. And it goes through every detail from thumbnails to SEO to descriptions and tags to marketing, merchandise, Patreon, every single thing that I can think of that I've ever done on YouTube, I'm basically creating this video series for. And then I'm also going to ask on the first episode for anybody that wants to be put forward as a case study. So if they've got a new channel that they want me to look at, then at the end of the series, I'm going to do an in-depth review of this person's channel and use all those tools that we've learned to then go through this person's channel and sort of go through in sort of very small detail and sort of see where we can improve, basically.
Dude, that's an awesome idea. That's a really good idea. I like that idea of having a test subject. That's a fantastic idea. Really good.
And I'm also going to do like a live YouTube stream episode where it's basically a big Q&A. So for anything that I might have missed out, that people can come on and just chat and ask me questions there and then, sort of clear it up and make sure we've covered everything.
I can't wait to see that series. I like the idea of start with somebody who's relatively unknown, as you just said, and building them up and give them advice along the way. That sounds like a fantastic idea. I mean, I saw your episode with Lelujo on his
the SEO
YouTube,
one,
and that was awesome. I mean, I've read your article several times and your blog about your SEO and how to do it. And I've taken a lot of advice from that. So to have you do a whole series dedicated to it, I'm really looking forward to it. Any ideas as to when it may be starting? Or
I'm trying to get ahead on videos because I sort of basically make sort of 2 videos a day pretty much most of the time. That I'm trying to sort of get a recording schedule so I can get ahead on videos. Like last night I recorded like 4 Journeyman episodes, and tonight I'm doing a bunch more, and then that gives me a space of 2 or 3 days where I can just sort of nail it. So hopefully it should be sort of coming out in the next week or 2. It'll start and then just be like probably a daily series until it's done.
Perfect. I mean, obviously you're talking about recording into the future. In general, how many episodes have you got recorded now just for... Because some guys like myself normally record like an episode at a time, but the other guys who hit 3 or 4 episodes at a time, how far into the future, should we say, episode-wise are you?
Generally speaking, I try on purpose to do it on the day of the episode. So one a day, because I like to get feedback from the comments. Somebody might have made a really good point in the comments, but if I've done 10 episodes... Like, I heard you talking about Work the Space having so many episodes ahead, and that would just drive me insane, because...
It's mad. When I heard that from Second Gen and Carl, I thought, that's insane.
Yeah, because you can't react to anything. If you want to... a big part of YouTube is getting your community involved, but when you're recording 10 episodes ahead, there's no community involvement because you've already done it. So I like to try and record it in like on the day or the day before. While I'm trying to get this YouTube series, I'm like 2 or 3 ahead, so I can get this, sort of do it in batches, just so I can get ahead.
I mean, it's like with your... you did an episode, didn't you, where you asked people to come to you with players, youth team prospects, I thought it was 10 years into the future. I like that idea as well, I know.
So I did the sort of 10 years into the future, and then I did 100 years into the future, and then I'm about to record the 500 years into the future episode.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so that was a lot of holidaying. Took quite a long time to get the database to that sort of 500 years into the future.
500 years?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, the league looks interesting. Liverpool are still rubbish. Great.
Are they in the Premiership still?
Nope.
They're not in the Premiership?
No.
Oh, my days. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's the first thing I look at. Is like, Liverpool? No, still haven't won the Premiership. 500 years' time. But it was really good. I wanted to cover a few bases on that 10 years ones and look at some of the well-known wonder kids. But I knew that there would be so many more that I thought, just ask in the comments and I'll post a screenshot, which it takes me hours to reply to everyone. But it's been really good because then other people can look at the video and then look at the comments and see all these other sort of wonder kids and really good players and stuff like that.
I mean, obviously, regarding your FM saves, you've got quite a few saves, not just FM on your YouTube channel. Do you have a specific YouTuber save that you've done that you personally enjoyed?
I think for me it has to be the Journeyman this year. We're 150 episodes in now, and it's not got remotely boring once. Some saves you just start out and you just never really get into. This stuff happens on YouTube and personal saves. But the Journeyman, it was something different. Before then, I'd just done a team and see how far we can take them sort of thing. Because of the extra elements that the Journeyman is about, finding a house to live and finding a car and doing all the funny little skits at the beginning, I think it's just made the series so much more fun. But I find it really hard because I get attached to teams. I'm not normally a Journeyman type player. I normally like to pick a team and see how far we can take them. So I have to sort of peel myself away from these teams once I feel like I've been there long enough. Once I get settled into the new team, it's all good. It's definitely been my favourite series.
I mean, with your current journeyman save, do you have a favourite club that you've managed so far?
I've got a soft spot for Venlo. I really enjoyed Venlo in the Netherlands, who have just been promoted to the Eredivisie in real life.
Very nicely pronounced.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks. You know, I get lots of comments saying you're saying his name wrong. It's like, I don't know how to say every name from every country.
I'm not freaking Dutch.
Exists. Yeah, it's like you pronounce that Zimbabwe player wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. That's kind of running joke is how bad my pronunciation. And sometimes I just throw them in on purpose just to see if I get comments based on how wrong it is.
And does it work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We all know that you've got a bit of an affiliation for Harry Owen. So tell us a little bit about your...
All hail the Owen!
Tell us a little bit about your stepson, Harry Owen. How did that start?
Yes, so it's funny, me and Curly, my girlfriend, were just doing a random... last night reminisce of our channel. I was looking at how bad my first ever video was, and we were just having a bit of fun looking at some old videos. And it was obviously the part of the Journeyman, and it was, I think, the second episode when we joined Cardiff Met Uni. Spoiler alert, if you're 148 episodes behind. Harry Owen was just one of the players that they had. I didn't sign him. He was already at Cardiff Met Uni, and basically he scored 2 goals in our first game. And then I think over the course of the season, got the heady heights of double figures, scored 10 goals. And then it just snowballed out of control, really, until he became this like massive legend. You know, I went on Fiverr and got some guy dressed as God do an all hail the Owen thing at one point and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just got a bit out of hand, really. You know, and I've spoken to the real life Harry Owen about it. I've asked him to come on the videos, but he doesn't seem that bothered by it all. He seems a bit confused by it all, to be fair.
He doesn't quite understand what's going on.
Yeah, he gets lots of tweets from fans just saying, all hail the Owen, and he's like, what? Hey, sorry?
You've probably got a shed load more followers than you had before, though, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, it's just, it gives that extra element. Because I think that one of my reasons why I love Football Manager is, apart from obviously it's football and I love that, is the fact that it's kind of almost like a blank canvas. You've got the basic storyline of, you know, results, transfers and stuff like that, but you can do with that what you want, and you can mould that as to how you like. You can create your own rules and challenges and stuff like that. And it was never planned to have a player come with us through the whole series, but it just kind of snowballed, got a bit out of hand.
Do you think one of the reasons why your save's been so popular is because of Harry Owen? You know, the fact
it's all because of Harry Owen. Yeah,
but what I mean is the fact that you've been so loyal, and it's become a bit of a comedy thing now, isn't it? You bring
not comedy. He's a genius. He's a football. Dare you say this?
It's blasphemy. I know.
It is.
You know, I've watched him.
You can get death threats on the internet now because you said that.
I better cut this all out then, don't I? But like, the other day I watched you know, your Wolfsburg episode, and you said your strikers were doing naff, so you were starting Harry Owen, and he's about 35 years old now, would he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's retiring at the end of the season, which is a sad day. It was quite a sad episode. Like, there was lots of comments.
Wasn't there a bit when you said, "Oh, look, Harry Owen's tackling's improved from 1 to 1 or something"?
No, his passing went up from 1 to 2. But then it went back down to 1. But now it's back up to 2. So he's doubled his passing. Like, you could say that. You know, Messi's never doubled his passing, has he? So that means Owen's better by that logic.
I like your thinking. So, do we know? Obviously, I've missed the last episode. Do we know yet if he can extend as a coach at all, or has he started his coaching badges?
I'm literally badgering him every single week to say, you should become a coach. And he's like, yeah, I'll think about it. You should become a coach. Yeah, I'll think about it next week. You should become a coach. And he's like, yes, leave it alone. So at the moment, I have no idea. I then asked the board to finance a coaching course for him. And they said they would, but Owen doesn't have enough interest in doing it. So it's kind of up. He's leaving us all hanging.
He's enjoying his building firm, isn't he? That's what it is.
That's it, at the Bratwurst hut as well. Owen's Bratwurst.
He's a bit of an entrepreneur, old Harry Owen, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's a multi-billionaire at this stage, I think.
Multi-billionaire, wow.
Yeah, he's building our stadium, Wolfsburg's new stadium.
Can you reveal to us the photos that Harry Owen's got that he bribed you with for so many years?
Obviously not. not safe for work or any place.
In regards to YouTube, I mean, I'm guessing because you're such a busy man, do you watch a lot of FM YouTube at all, or do you watch any?
Like, I've watched all your series. Very good, by the way, this podcast series with your guests. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
And it's kind of a lot of what they said. I watched more Football Manager stuff before I started YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I played more games before I started making a gaming channel.
Agreed.
It's the irony. You think, oh my God, I'll start a gaming channel. I can just play games for a living. Yeah, less games than you had before. The logic's gone. But yeah, so I watch a lot less. What I tend to do now is kind of sort of dip in and out of people's saves. So I'm subscribed to a lot of FM channels, but I'll just maybe watch one every 3 or 4 episodes. Just when I'm editing or rendering a video or something like that, then I'll just pop in, a bit of Benji or a bit of Bood or somebody like that. But I haven't really sort of attached myself to any saves. I just don't have that much time.
It's amazing how much little YouTube we watch now compared to, I mean, you record daily content, so how you manage it, I don't know, but it's amazing how much content when you're creating, how much little content you watch compared to what you did before. I mean, prior to YouTube, I spent most of my evenings watching FM, just watching.
Yeah, just watching it like you're watching the telly.
Exactly. Rather than me sitting here watching the TV, I'd be sitting at the computer watching people at Football Manager. Where now I don't get time, and I do miss that.
Yeah.
So I do, like, for example, like yours. I'm a big fan of Bood FM as well. It's annoying that I sometimes miss an episode, so then like I watch episodes and you're referred to something that happened previously, thinking, oh, I missed it. What's happening? So I have to go back to another episode to catch up in it.
It's taken me a while to get to the stage where I can just dip in and out, because before, if I'd found somebody's video that was like episode 50, I was like, well, I'm going to have to start from 1. I can't join at 50. That would be ridiculous. I have to know everything that's gone on. And that's kind of, I'm a sort of completionist when it comes to video game series. But now I've sort of got used to the fact that, no, I just don't have the time. So I just dip in and out and watch bits and bobs here and there.
I mean, do you have any advice? I mean, I know you've got a YouTube series coming up anyway, but in regards to a little bit of advice for the listeners now while they're waiting for your new series, do you have any advice for any content creators coming up?
My biggest piece of advice is, there's a couple of things, is if you decide you want to do YouTube because you think you might make some money, don't do it. I've seen, because like I said before, I get a couple of videos or links to YouTube channels sent to me every day saying, look, can you check out my stuff? And it's usually the guy's first or second video. And it's not very good, because everybody's first and second video is not very good.
Agreed.
And then I'll check him a week later and he's just stopped uploading because he only got 10 views. And that's just the reality of YouTube. You're not going to get views. So my biggest piece of advice is, when you start making content, do not even look at numbers and subscribers and views and stuff like that for at least 3-4 months. Just try to make each video better than the last one. Go watch your old video, see what you did wrong. Maybe you could talk a little bit faster, a bit more energy, or edit a bit out, or whatever it is. But see if you can make that. Forget the fact that nobody's going to watch it. And like we said when we were talking about it with Lelujo, you don't want anybody to watch it. Your first videos are rubbish. It's a good thing nobody's watching, because most people only give you one chance. So don't worry about the numbers. Too many people give up way too quickly because they only got 10 subscribers in their first month or something like that. It doesn't happen overnight.
Agreed. Again, I said it before, when I first started, a lot of people like myself admitted when they first start, they expect to be an internet sensation.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't quite happen. They get a bit deterred by that. So I agree with you 100%. Just stick at it. I mean, one of the things I noticed, again, when I messaged people for advice in the early stages, they all told me, come back, you've done 10, 15 episodes, because you improve as you go along. You don't think so, but I've noticed improvement even from 10 episodes ago to where I am now. You do notice that. And Lujo says, I think says the first 100 videos, you want to use those to learn your craft. And he's right.
So one of the big things for me is that when somebody says, it's weird me saying this, but somebody says, oh, your videos are really good, how do I get to be as good? I said, watch my first video, because it sounds boring, it sounds like I'm suicidal.
I was just going to mention when you cut me off. That's honestly what I was going to mention.
Embarrassingly bad, and that's why I keep it on there, because look at how bad I was, and I've got, 12,000 subscribers now. You naturally get better, even if it's not anything in particular, like a technical thing you're changing. You naturally just get more used to talking to yourself into a monitor, and just get more confident, and I didn't sort of purposely change anything when I started out. It just naturally happens. So that's like for instance, when I'm going to do this case study, I'm going to pick a channel that's small, but I want them to have at least made 50 videos, because I don't want somebody's first video to sort of look at, because there will be lots of problems. Give me a 50th video, then we'll look at it and have a look, sort of thing.
I mean, your rise to 12,000 subscribers in such a short amount of time in the FM community is insane. It's just, you might get that in FIFA, but FM is such a niche market. What do you think was the reason, or what do you think was the save, or what was it that got you to where you are today? Was it the way you changed your personality? Was it the fact that you got a face cam? What do you think it was?
I've sort of often thought of this, you know, because it's often asked of me, because it is quite a sort of a big rise over the sort of last year. And when we were looking back at it last night, there was no sort of moment in particular. It was like steady growth. Like I always talk, like one of my videos in this, sorry to keep, you know, I'm just basically advertising my video series at this point. But one of my videos is going to be about finding your style. You shouldn't copy anybody else because everybody works differently. Some people are better at that, lots of editing, that like sort of vlogging thing where you get lots of jump cuts because it makes it funny and faster and all that sort of stuff. The first thing I thought about before I even made my first video was, what do I want my channel to be? And it was like, I want it to be as if I am hanging out with my mates. They're sat beside me. We're all having a drink, playing for some Football Manager. So it's relaxed. There's no editing. We're just rambling about some really random stuff, sometimes nothing to do with Football Manager. The episode I recorded last night, about half the episode, I was swatting Daddy Longlegs with an electronic tennis bat. Right? Because I got attacked. But, you know, and so that was sort of my style. And I think that is probably what I think from the comments that I've got back is that's what people feel like, is it's like hanging out with a mate as opposed to watching this comedian sort of thing. It's like having a laugh with your mates. I think that's why we built up such a good community. And I think I've got people to stick around because, like we said before, about getting people involved with the community and stuff like that and chatting to them, answering all my comments and all that sort of stuff. I think, obviously, with the release of FM17 and the start of, I think it was a Liverpool beta save for about 7 episodes, and then I did The Journeyman. And I think The Journeyman was sort of the catalyst. I think episode 1 of The Journeyman's got sort of 60,000 odd views, or some 60,000 odd views now, and that has probably been the sort of biggest single sort of boon to my channel, really.
One of the things I like about you specifically is I like the fact how open you are, you know, and for example, your yearly review, you know, when you sat down, you went through the analytics of your yearly review, your yearly goals, and watching yours and watching Alujo's version as well, I found that really inspiring. You know, hearing you guys and talk about the rise from where you've got and how many subscribers you've gained and your aims for the year. It's something you don't see many other YouTubers do. Sitting down and go for the analytics and being so open about the YouTube money and the viewer retention, etc., etc. And I really like that. Was there anyone before that you got that from? Was that just something you always wanted to be? You always wanted to be open?
Sorry, my dogs are just barking at
That's all right.
random things. What are you barking at, Lokes? Anything? No? Good. Usual. Right. No, it wasn't. It was more something me because, like I said, my style is relaxed and sort of unedited, just relaxed, hanging with your mates. But behind the scenes, I'm very much a business, but I run my channel like a business. I do a ton of research and everything. I know a lot of people find the analytics side really dull, but I love it. I find that, you know, as interesting as making the videos. I like graphs and pie charts, right? It's weird, but it's true. It's a weird fetish. I like a good pie chart.
I like a good pie, but
yeah. Both for me. Yeah. A pie while looking at a pie chart is the dream.
That's the fantasy,
yeah. And I love that sort of thing to it. And then I just thought it wasn't anybody I'd saw, because like you said, not many people talk about it, especially money. Nobody talks about money.
Exactly.
Apparently that's what sends you to hell or something. Because, and my favourite thing is people say you're not allowed to talk about money, which is absolute rubbish. You're just not allowed to talk about your particular CPM. There's one page on the analytics that you're not allowed to show because that's personal to you. But you can talk about how much money you've earned and your ad revenue and stuff like that. And I just found it interesting. So I thought, because I'm trying to not just build a channel, I'm trying to build a community. I thought, because if they feel involved in the channel, involved with me, that they would then be interested in the behind the scenes stuff. And sort of, because that would make them feel more involved in the channel, and they could really sort of see peek behind the curtain sort of thing and become more invested in the channel. So that was all sort of part of that, because I thought it was interesting. I thought others would too, really.
I mean, what's your long-term plan in regards to the Loki Doki brand, should we say? Because I know you've had sponsorships from Game. I've really enjoyed your advert for Game on the YouTube channel when they sent you the T-shirt that was like
the
4 sizes too. That was 4 sizes too small, if you remember serving correct. I really enjoyed that. So, what's the long-term plan for the Loki Doki brand, should we say?
My rule number 1 of my YouTube channel that goes above everything else is, if I don't enjoy it, I don't play it. So if, God forbid, I got bored of Football Manager one day, I'd stop making videos about it. And I know, like, 90% of my audience would then leave. But I do this because it's a passion of mine. And if it becomes a horrible, boring job because I'm making content I don't want to do, then we've missed the target. That's not what, I did this for. I'll just go and get a job and get paid more for it, for the hours I sort of put in. So for me, it's just a case of carrying on finding games that I enjoy, finding interesting games, whether it be just Let's Plays or doing the odd sort of game review or that sort of thing. Like Football Manager has always been my passion. I've played it since, 93, 94. And so that's probably never ever going to go away. That'll always be a big part. But there's just sort of games on top, like you mentioned before, the Motorsport Manager and stuff like that. The Darkest Dungeon, the Telltale series and stuff like that. That will run alongside it. So sort of keep everybody happy, the FM audience happy and me happy because I love Football Manager, but also the other side as well. And it'll just be continued. I think the biggest thing on a grander scheme is to build a proper community.
Yeah.
So rather than just a community being, I make a video, you comment on it, and I reply to that comment, which is your sort of standard YouTube community, what people consider a community. It's not, really. But what I want to do is make that a bigger thing, because I've been watching YouTube videos for a long time, and I've seen that as soon as you get to a certain size of YouTube channel, you start getting some really horrible people in the comments. And then even the nice people in the comments start arguing with the horrible trolls, and the comments just sort of disintegrate a little bit. So eventually, this is a while off because I'm not that sort of size, but I want to carry on obviously with the comments, but have it away from there as well. So have our own website with our own forum. And also I've got like a Steam group and everything, which is kind of what's happening at the moment. I'm just sort of building that Steam group where we can have a chat with like-minded people without the worry of trolls and idiots and stuff like that. And I think that's sort of the overarching guide, is to build a sort of a Loki Doki community, I think, is the big thing.
I mean, obviously, being the fact that you're over 12,000 subscribers yet, you mentioned it already, but have you had trolls? Is that something you've come across yet, or? I've
had like negative comments about my tactics, but I'm rubbish at Football Manager, so I kind of expect that. And they're never sort of horrible. They're just like, wow, you're not very good at Football Manager. I'm like, yeah, tell me something I don't know. That's not a surprise to anyone.
But if anything, would it be boring if you was good at Football Manager? If you was winning every single game? And...
it's weird because I used to be better at Football Manager because I used to go more in depth into tactics and individual instructions. I used to go scouting on regen day and steal all the best players. Then almost the game became a little bit too easy. You shouldn't be able to go from the conference to the Premier League in 5 years and get Champions League in 6, sort of thing. That's so unrealistic that I've actually sort of taken a little bit of detail out of the way I play, just so it feels a bit more realistic. I'm not too bothered if I don't. I want to win stuff, but I'm not too bothered if I don't, or I don't do it in the first year, sort of thing. As long as we're making sort of rough progress, then we'll get there eventually. I totally forgot your question. I've meandered off in a different direction.
To be honest, I did as well.
Yeah, well, I'll just go with that. Pretend that was the answer to the question.
I'm just sitting there listening to what you were saying. Obviously, recently we had the Bet Bright. I don't know if you heard about it. The Bet Bright Cup recently, which was basically a Football Manager tournament. And there's rumours about FM potentially becoming an e-sport. Do you think that's something that could ever happen? And if so, would you be interested in participating in that?
No and no. I wouldn't participate because I'm not very good. So, it's like the nearly, I'll just turn up just for a participation medal. I don't. It's the same reason, like, if you look at games on YouTube, Football Manager is such a tiny niche market that if you qualify that, if you look at the amount of people that play League of Legends, and then you understand the esport, but then if you take the amount of exposure and people that play Football Manager, it's a tiny base. So it might be like a pub league of esports, an esport pub league or something like that. I don't think it'll ever be. And to be fair, what makes a good esport is it's got to be good to watch. And at the end of the day, Football Manager looks like it's from 1993, the graphics, right? How many versions of FIFA would you have to go back to have the same look on the match engine? It's a number of years.
I legit think we're talking late 90s. Being serious, probably even later, probably even earlier than that. We really are. It's mad.
Anybody that's just into gaming is just going to look at that and go, wow, that looks so dated. You know, it's not the strong point of Football Manager, and esports needs to look really pretty. So,
I got asked by my wife the other day, why do you love Football Manager so much? And I couldn't tell her why, because if you look at it, it's
spreadsheet manager.
It is just spreadsheets, and it's a really dated 3D match change. I tend to play it offline. I use 2D. I play 2D because I prefer it that way. But it's just basically a really dated 3D match change and spreadsheets. So when you try to explain someone who's never played Football Manager before why you love it, it's really hard. It's like, I don't know. It's addictive. It's like a drug. I just can't stop playing it. Do you know what I mean? My computer was broken for about a week and a half, and
you get the shakes.
It was torture. It was honestly torture. I bought the FM Touch for a mobile. That was. I mean, I know guys that just might play it, but I couldn't play because nothing like the real game. It wasn't as in depth.
Where's the detail? I want
exactly.
I want to talk to that player, and I can't. Yeah.
It was just. I was like, oh my god! So it's really hard to explain it, but I love the game. I mean, I'm with you. I would love to see it become an esport because I currently work for an e-gaming league where we play FIFA.
Oh, cool.
And I've spoken to the league owners about trying to do a Football Manager like cup, and if there's enough interest, potentially move it to a league. But they've got some concerns about, as you just said, the appeal and the amount of viewership we may or may not get for it. So that is something I have to look into myself. And when we look at Twitch streamers, for example, how often do you get people play FM who've got Twitch streamers in the hundreds or thousands? You don't get many. You get like Viking Dad, who gets a good amount of views as well, and obviously, and yourself as well when you do it. But there's not much of a demand out there for people just to sit there and watch you.
If there's not already an audience of people like enjoying watching the game already, then it's kind of dead in the water, really. Like I said, it could be something that it's unlikely it's Sports Interactive, but
do me a favour.
It could be something that Sports Interactive like pay for themselves to sort of almost advertise the game in a way, is that they run this FM pub league thing or something like that. But that's the only way I see it working. It's not. I don't see it being self-sufficient. I think it'd have to be propped up.
What's your views on, and I can cut this out of the interview, but what's your views on the way Sports Interactive deal with fellow content creators, website makers, bloggers? I mean, is that something you want to dive into, or would you rather leave it?
Yes, I do want to dive into, because I plan a video on this. It's going to be called Dear Sports Interactive, and it's going to be an open letter to Miles and everyone at Sports Interactive.
I can't wait.
I'll give you the short version. This will only be 10 minutes long.
I'm happy for that.
I think it's awful. I think they're so very behind the times on how to deal with YouTubers, Twitchers, all these people, the social media side of things. They are absolutely awful at it. They don't involve themselves at all with YouTubers. You know, like I think Work the Space did a little interview with him at the pre-release of FM17 or something like that. Yeah. Like, wow, okay, great. That was the only sort of time. They don't. And they have this built-in excuse to say, well, the trouble is, because you're downloading...
Oh, that aggravates
material,
me. That annoys me so much.
Am I allowed to swear on this?
Please fucking do.
Absolute bullshit. Absolute, utter bullshit reason, because every other games company has the same thing, because they all have Steam Workshop and they all have copyrighted material in their games. That's not relevant. That is an absolute poor excuse. That makes no sense whatsoever. So, and even if it was, let's say that was true... If they were to approach me and say, look, we want you to do something for FM18 or something like that, but as part of that, you can't download the badges, I'd go, fine, okay, cool. You know, so it wouldn't bother me either way. So, but that's just wholly untrue. That because Steam Workshop contains copyrighted material, that you can't then support the streamers. I think that's, and it annoys me because as a fan of Football Manager, I want to see it grow and be better. And because there's no competition, they just don't seem that bothered about it. Like, even from the state of the game itself, it's like if I was to take somebody that loves football in real life, is a massive football fan, season ticket holder, whatever, adores football, and said, look, come play some Football Manager, they'd be so confused. It's the most complex game. There's not a tutorial, a proper tutorial that eases you into it. They tried to come out with that classic mode thing, which was just rubbish. At the moment, you've got an audience of however many people that are probably the same audience that it was 10 years ago.
Agreed.
We've just all got 10 years older. And at some point, we're going to start dying, right? At some point, we're all going to start dropping off at the top level, right? All the older, yeah. are going to start, and there's just going to be no new blood. And because it's so hard to learn. If you look at the spreadsheets that you look at on Football Manager on a daily basis, and if you invited somebody that didn't know Football Manager to look at that, even as a football fan, they'd be so confused.
My dad used to play FIFA Manager because he was so basic. And about 2 years ago, I bought him Football Manager, and he lasted no word of a lie about 10 minutes. He went, I guess I ain't playing this. He goes, it's far too complicated.
Yeah, same as my nephew, exactly the same. He got it, and he was like, he really liked the idea of playing a Football Manager game, and it was like, no, mate, no. It's like, fair enough. I can see it. We can all see it. Anybody that plays Football Managers can see it. And I think, apart from sort of that side of things, that they just need, like, when they released FM17, there was criticism because they weren't doing much promotional material as usual, and they weren't really talking about it, and that got people worried. And then they released that, hour-long broken sound gameplay video of Football Manager 17, as if that was going to sort of, well, there you go, look, there's something for you. Just give the game to a YouTuber and ask them to make a video. Do you not see how such little work involved? Let's say you hire at Sports Interactive, you hire one person to be the social media and the YouTube and Twitter, Twitch person, right? And their job is to liaise with all those people. You've got one wage, doesn't even have to be big because it's not a massive role, and they just liaise with these people. You could get so much free advertising and free work just for giving out a copy of the game here and there, paying somebody a small fee for an ad, that sort of thing. They'd make so much more money. Like, I can show you at least 100 comments from my Motorsport Manager series of people saying, this looks really good, I've just bought it. They don't seem to realise that it's such a valuable... There's a reason why every other games company in the known universe, apart from Nintendo, embraces YouTube and Twitch, because it makes them lots of money, it makes them sell more games. Like, it's just a no-brainer.
What's ironic, for a match engine that's so out of date, they've also got a customer relationship that's so out of date as well.
Yeah, it hasn't moved either.
They're 15 years behind the fact that YouTube is a big deal now, and they could miss the boat. They could miss the boat. The way YouTube's clamping down on certain things, it's going to become harder more than ever to do certain things, and I think they could potentially miss the boat. And with guys like yourself, Lelujo, Work to Space, Dr. Benji, Golden FM, the list is countless. You've got what, 100,000+ subscribers there alone, just with the guys I mentioned there. That's 100,000+ people that can be reached out to, that could be promote other aspects of the game.
All they need to do is go to take the top 10 biggest YouTubers or FM YouTubers or whatever, and say, sign this NDA. We'll give you a pre-release copy of the game. You might get it 2 weeks early, so you can make a video about it. You can show this, and this. This is what all other games companies do. We'd all make a video because we'll be excited about it. It'd get a ton of views, and more importantly, build a lot of hype for the game. So there won't be what happened on FM17 of people going, "Are they actually done anything this year?" Because they haven't talked about it.
Agreed. We don't see Miles do many. I mean, he used to I don't remember back in the day. There used to be the Football Manager magazine. Did you ever buy that back in the day?
No, I didn't. I've heard it's rumour.
I used to like it. It was basically a magazine, probably 15 years ago. It's a Football Manager magazine you could buy every month. And you had interviews of players like Cherno Sambo was interviewed in there. Where Are You Now? There's bits in there about tactics. There was bits, because obviously back then, this was before FM Scout and the side community. There's people talking about their saves. There was, and back then they were heavily into involving people in getting involved in the game. And it's just mad to think they haven't rolled with the times. They haven't got involved.
It's exactly the same as it was. It's as dated as, or it's probably more dated than the match engine, and it would take such little work. It's not like a big deal. They wouldn't need to create a new department or have all these staff. It's a one person job.
Give it to a bloody apprentice. Give it to an apprentice. You know what I mean?
It would be so simple to do, and it's just beyond me. And obviously, the biggest reason for that is there's lack of competition. Yeah. But not just the lack of competition. How hard it would be to compete. It's not like you can create I make Dark Souls and somebody's created a Dark Souls clone, that sort of thing. Because of the database of Football Manager, it's to how would you get, as a competitor, if you're a brand new company, how would you get a database of players? That's the biggest sort of killer, and so because this database is built by all these people that do the scouting for Sports Interactive and everything like that. That is the hardest thing to replicate. And unless it's like, say, somebody like EA with their FIFA database that decides to make a dedicated manager game, that they just got no competition, and I can't see anyone competing with them. I can't see the point. The amount of resources you'd have to do to build a Football Manager game from the ground, and the database would be ridiculous.
With the size of the company that EA is, maybe I'm being a bit naive. I honestly think if they were to really put their back into it and really make an effort, they could rival Football Manager. They really could. They've got the licensing, they've got the Twitter followers, they've got Facebook followers, Instagram followers. If they really wanted to, I truly think they could give Football Manager a run for their money. But I don't think it's ever going to happen. They're quite
maybe
happy.
It's a clever ploy by what Sports Interactive have realised is if we keep the same amount of people playing, if we grow too much and it becomes too popular, then somebody else is going to copy it and do it better. So we'll just carry on at a level that's average and not really grow that much, just so we're keeping under the radar of all the big companies. Maybe that's their genius plan.
I cannot wait to hear this letter to Sports Interactive.
Yeah, it's going to be a goodie. It's
going to be awesome. I can't wait. And also, you mentioned you played Football Manager back in 1993, which is quite frankly superb. But what was your first ever computer or console? Do you remember?
We had the original, because I'm old, so we had the original Atari games console.
Which one? Do you remember?
The 28, is it 2800?
I had the Atari 2600.
I can't even remember which one it is because I was very sort of young. I didn't. The first one I really remember playing lots and lots was the Atari ST, the Beast, and that's why I played Championship Manager on.
The Beast.
That was it was an amazing computer, and then worked my way from there.
Are you a console or a PC man? What do you play now?
I'm PC Master Race all the way. I do have a console. I get a console so I can play a couple of exclusive titles, and then they become like a really expensive Blu-ray player, basically, or Netflix machine is basically what they become. Like, say, for instance, I just got a PlayStation 4 because I wanted to play the Uncharted series, and a couple because I didn't have a PlayStation 3, so I got the Uncharted series so I could play through that, and then there's a couple like Last of Us and there's a couple of others I want to sort of play through, but if I can at all get it on a PC, I'll just get it on a PC.
Have you played The Last of Us?
No, I haven't yet. Not got to that one yet.
That game is amazing. It's a very slow game. There's a lot of walking about, but it's a really good game. I'm not going to spoil anything, don't you worry. But it's a fantastic game. Because it's not the sort of games that I tend to play, but all I kept hearing was how great it was. And I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah. I finished Uncharted 2, so I've just started Uncharted 3, and then I'll do the latest one.
Do you play a lot of computer games, FM aside?
Again, not as much as I do before. Like, what I'll tend to do is I quite like games that I can just have a dip in and dip out of. Games like League of Legends is great because I've got half an hour before I need to record or whatever it is, so I'll bosh in there, play one game of League of Legends. It'll take 25 minutes, half an hour, and then I'm done. It's harder to get into. Like, I love Mass Effect, and I've played maybe 4 or 5 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm enjoying it despite all the weird facial stuff. But I'm really enjoying it. But I just don't have the sort of time to just sit down and have a good session on those games. I hate playing those sort of games for half an hour. It's just like, it's pointless. You need to sit down and have at least a couple of hours with a game like that to get anywhere.
Do you miss playing computer games?
Yeah, I do. I used to be a big fan of massive multiplayer online games, so like Star Wars Galaxies and stuff like that I used to play a ton of hours into. And it's the only game I've ever really got Curly into. I've tried so many times to get her interested in playing a game, but Star Wars Galaxies, just because she can make nice coloured hats and sell them. That's not sexist. That's just true.
That's what she likes doing. That's fine. We don't judge.
Yeah.
We don't judge.
Exactly. We had a shop. I sold furniture and armour and weapons. She sold hats.
Was it a successful shop or?
It was. Because we cleverly used the thing. So we these swoop helms, those hats for Star Wars, and she would make like green ones for St. Patrick's Day. They sold like hotcakes, like themed Star Wars. St. Patrick's Day crossover. I don't think that exists in the Star Wars universe, but we made it work.
Could this be part of the Loki Doki franchise in the future?
That's it. It's the brand. Yeah.
I mean, apart from Football Manager, what's your favourite ever computer game?
Star Wars Galaxies is definitely my favourite because it had everything in it. I love the Star Wars universe. It was a massive multiplayer game, and as well as been doing all the fighty stuff and everything like this that you do in those games, the crafting system was so interesting because it wasn't like, hack a bit of iron off a hill, hack a bit of wood off a tree, and then go, boom, sword, like in most games nowadays. Like, each of these minerals would have all these specific traits, all these different numbers and everything like that. So you could really, and it was limited supply. So you put like a big mining installation on top of this rich seam of iron or whatever it was, because it had really good traits. It was like thermodynamic, and you could make it was really good for weapons and stuff like that. So that was really, really interesting. And then obviously like the house building side of things. So I think it sort of covered all the aspects, and I thought what they did really cleverly when they first started was you couldn't be a Jedi. It would just be this mystery unlock that you got for doing a large amount of certain things that no one had any idea how to do, and one day you'd log in and go, you're a Jedi, and there'd be like 3 people on a server that were a Jedi. So when you actually saw a Jedi, it was like, oh my god, there's a fucking Jedi. That's amazing. Not
please be my
nowadays.
friend.
Yeah, not nowadays in every game where everybody's running around with glow-in-the-dark dildos. So that it just worked perfectly as a game.
Have you played Star Wars Battlefront on the is it PX? You played the PlayStation? You got the Xbox, the shoot 'em up. Have you played that?
Yes,
at all?
I played. I had the demo, or the open beta, I think it was, and it sounded nice and it looked nice, but I wasn't a massive fan. It didn't really hook me in.
Are they not the sort of games that you like to play normally?
I don't mind the first person. I'm not very good at them, which probably sort of lowers my enjoyment of fun value, the rage build up. So I'm not very good at them, but I do mind, like, I play a bit of Overwatch here and there and stuff like that, and a few first person shooters. I'm not really a Call of Duty fan, but the Battlefield games are okay.
I mean, you mentioned obviously League of Legends. Is that the type of game you like to play? Fantasies or multiplayer or role playing games? Any sort of games you like to play normally?
If I could build my perfect game, it would be set in a fantasy universe, and it would be like a fantasy version of XCOM. I like the turn-based strategy type games, where it's not sort of hand-to-eye coordination and all that sort of stuff. It's just more about strategy, and I love the XCOM games, but I really do enjoy games set in a fantasy world, like a Lord of the Rings XCOM game.
Yeah,
that would be my jam. That sort of thing, I think, would be perfect for me.
When I play Football Manager in real life, not on YouTube, off YouTube, I've never done a save really past sort of 2-3 years. Because
that surprised me. That's really short.
I enjoy the early stages. Like I said, when you start getting Wayne Rooney at Mansfield, or in my case, Luton Town, I've just signed him. When you start getting Wayne Rooney at Luton Town, it's like, it's a little bit too unrealistic.
Just because the realism is basically gone then.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of like I'm normally a sort of 10-year guy, so when all the good players in the real world start retiring, and it's all a lot of majority of regens, then I usually start getting a bit bored of it.
When you've got an 18-year-old costing like £75 million, and his stats are like 18 finishing, 17 job, like, hang on, this is not realistic right now. But that's literally how I play Football Manager and Civilization. I enjoy the early stage, actually the exploring, looking around, looking at plays, and that's why I play Football Manager. But anyway, that aside, I'm going to talk all night about this otherwise. I mean, it's well known that you're a Liverpool fan for your sins. It's a shame to hear. But how did you start supporting Liverpool? Was it a family influence? Was it friends? What was it?
It was a weird one, really, because when I was growing up, nobody in my household was into football at all. So I grew up near Bournemouth, right, just outside Bournemouth. So that would be my local club. But nobody was into football, so I didn't get taken to any games or anything. I had no uncles that took me to games or anything like that, so I didn't really have an interest in football. And it was only until I got to, say, my sort of 7 or 8, and we'd go kick around the football in the park with my mates and stuff, that it became a real big sort of passion for me. And then I started, my only real football came from like Match of the Day and stuff like that. So that's obviously at that point, Liverpool were actually good at football. It did happen once, people view. And if you're young, once upon a time, Liverpool used to be good.
I don't believe you. I do not believe you.
So they were on Match of the Day a lot. And then I thought, John Barnes just became my favourite ever player. And that's just what attached me to Liverpool when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I've been stuck with them ever since. And they've not really won much.
So it wasn't quite... the second year the car started supporting Fulham because he liked their kit.
It's not quite as bad as that. That was awful.
What did he tell me? Oh, it wasn't the sole reason, but when he mentioned I quite like their kit, I thought, bloody hell, I've heard it all now. So if you listen, mate, apologies for mentioning it, but it was really funny when you said it. I mean, you mentioned your favourite ever player was John Barnes. Why was that? I mean, we know he's a bit of a dribble wizard, but was there a particular game or was just all round that you
think it was all round. I think when I started watching Match of the Day and seeing Liverpool, the way he could go with the ball was just like any other player that I'd seen. It was like, as they say, glued to his feet, and he just beat everybody. And I just loved the way, and he seemed to enjoy it. One of the big things I really dislike about modern footballers is that they all seem so grumpy. How can you be grumpy playing football for a living, earning $300 a week? How are you ever grumpy? And I like players that look like they enjoy playing the game. Like one of my favourite current players is Okazaki for Leicester. Because he just seems happy to be there.
Because he is.
Yeah, I know. He's not the best in the world. That's probably part of the reason why. He's got
the
Premiership winners medal.
I've gone from Mons in Germany to being a Premiership winner. What the fuck happened there?
But he just enjoys the game, and I think John Barnes sort of had that as well. And then, in the schoolyard, it was always like, I'll be Barnes, and that was it.
In terms of being a Liverpool fan, what's been your happiest period?
Oh, Jesus. It's got to be Champions League, innit?
Yeah.
The comeback, the greatest ever game. I was actually visiting my family at the time.
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I don't remember that game at all.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, it's only a small one. Nobody really talks about it. I was visiting my mum at the time, and so we were just all watching it as a family, which was quite cool. I've made everyone in my family now support teams, even if they're not interested in football. I was like, you've got to pick a team. So my mum supports Reading because she's originally from there. My brother supports Sheffield Wednesday because when I told him to pick a team, Wednesday were in both cup finals years ago and lost both, and he felt pity for them, so started supporting them, and he's been a Sheffield Wednesday fan ever since. So, and my nephew supports Bournemouth, so we've got quite a random family.
Well, I instantly dislike your brother because Sheffield Wednesday just beaten me in the playoffs at Luton Town. So,
Wednesday.
So Wednesday to me are an absolute bunch of wankers. So fuck off Wednesday. So obviously, in terms of, again, that period there, do you have a favourite ever of Liverpool player, apart from John Barnes, during that period when you won the Champions League? Was you a Fowler, Owen, Gerrard? Who was your sort of player during the heyday?
Obviously, sort of Jimmy Traore. No, obviously not Jimmy. I really enjoyed it when we had that sort of season and a half of Gerrard playing just behind Torres.
Yeah.
And they were on fire.
That was scary.
They were disgustingly good. They just gelled as a team just for that sort of year and a half before it all sort of went a bit wrong. And then obviously Captain Bitey came into the team. He was quite good for a while before he sort of bit people and stuff. But
and racially abusing players, but yeah,
apart from that, lovely bloke.
I wouldn't let him babysit my kids like, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He might eat them, but apart from that. Yeah, so I think the Gerrard Torres in their pomp, when they were both in their pomp, that was probably the best time.
I mean, as things stand, you've got 4 or 5 games left in the season. You're sitting in third, I believe, so you must be fairly confident of getting the top 4. Or do you think I
am very confident of getting the top 4. Now we seem to sort of fixed being able to beat bad teams, which was an issue sort of over the Christmas period. We've actually got a really good run-in. We've got one of the easier run-ins compared to everybody else in the top 4. We've got Palace, Watford, Southampton, West Ham and Middlesbrough. So we don't really play any of the sort of big teams. Southampton is going to be tricky. West Ham are going to be playing for something. But you take that as a run-in. So I think we've got enough to stay in the top 4, which would be immense. And then we've got apparently £200 million to spend in the summer. So
I was just going to say, I can see you guys signing some absolutely massive names in the summer. I really can.
I think we're going to go big. I think we were quite clever in January. As fans do, they complain that we didn't sign any. We didn't sign Messi and stuff like that as they usually do. But we didn't spend any money, and I'd prefer that rather than rushing a bad signing or taking a punt on somebody like that. We weren't that bad. We were playing all right. It's all good. But hopefully, with the players going out, possibly sort of 60, 80 million pounds worth of players going out, there's talk of us having 100, 200 million to spend. So if we've got Champions League, which will be the crucial factor, I'm hoping we can bring a couple of just top draw players.
Do you think there'll be a lot of Germans coming through from Dortmund and whatnot?
I think so. There's always talk, isn't there? What's his face? Striker.
Aubameyang. No, Aubameyang?
No, not that good. Yeah, not that level. You'd have to find us on a map. What's his name? He plays for Wolfsburg? Does he now? Oh, Jesus, we've been linked with him loads. It's gone out my head. No, not Chelsea reject. No, it's gone out my head. Some German striker that's good at football. Apparently, we're in talks to buy with. So, yeah, I think Klopp is very much a buy what he knows.
What about Götze? Do you think Mario Götze? Do you think Götze might come in?
Oh, he's got that weird thing, hasn't he? Now, like got that bug, hasn't he? Some disease that he's got. That he's not. Yeah, have you not?
No,
it's him, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not. I'm a little Town fan, mate.
You doubt it? I was so sure.
I'm a little Town fan, so I don't pay much attention to the
he's got myopathy, which is a rare disease. So I'd rather not spend like £50 million on a player that might never play football again, like Andy Carroll or something like that.
Or Jonathan Woodgate for Real Madrid.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, maybe not that much of a gamble. But before he had his illness, yes. But there's a bunch of German players that I think Klopp will bring in.
I think you guys are going to go big in the summer, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I think there was that big excitement last summer about having Guardiola, having Conte, having Klopp, and we haven't really seen much this season apart from the end of the season. But I think next season, I think United are going to go big again. I think Chelsea will. I think Liverpool will. Not quite sure about City.
It's going to be silly spending, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because there's talks of people buying Neymar for 140 million and stuff like this. Like, okay, have we already got to this level?
Why would he leave Barcelona to go to Manchester United? Do you know what I mean?
He might like 6th place. So.
But you're playing with Suarez and Messi. Let's go play with Luke Young.
Fellaini's
sad. Why do you want to play with Fellaini and freaking Ashley Young? Do you know what I mean?
Iniesta or Fellaini.
Right, well, there we have it, boys and girls. Another episode over with Ben Meeks, and a thoroughly enjoyable episode, so thank you very much, dude. So before we say our goodbyes, do you want to give yourself a quick shout out? I'm sure people may not be following you on your social media or subscribe to your channel, because let's be honest, they're only here for me, but let's do it nonetheless.
True. Yep, I'm just a pawn in your game.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, so my name's Loki Doki. You can find me on YouTube, Loki Doki GG. You can find me on Twitter with the same name. You can find me on Twitch, because I do a bit of streaming twice a week. Loki_Doki_GG, because I didn't realise underscores work that badly when I made that name. But yeah, just come say hello. I'm doing Football Manager. I've got a daily episode of my Journeyman. If you're starting out, you've just got a mere 150 episodes to catch up on, so good luck with that. And also, I play other games like Motorsport Manager, playing a new series of Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're interested in at all at doing YouTube at any point in the future, or that just takes your fancy, then I will be starting a brand new 13-part episode of a how-to YouTube coming out in the next couple of weeks. That's about it. Enough shilling.
And if you're interested in being maybe part of that experiment.
Yes, exactly. Be the case study. I'm going to make a disclaimer to say that if you're easily offended, don't apply, because I'm going to be critical. I'm going to say if this is bad, this is bad. So I'll put a disclaimer on there.
I was looking forward to the series before, mate, but now I've heard what you're going to do. I really cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to it, mate. So good. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure there's a few guys on my channel, maybe potentially yours. I know you're not quite as big as I am, but that may be interesting going for it as well. So if you want to do a bit of self-promotion on my channel at some point in the future, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure, dude. Thank you very much. And don't forget, boys and girls, before we go, Dioch.